When I was a kid, Pokemon, it's still huge, but Pokemon was super huge when I was a kid. Every single person I would meet would have Fire Red, Leaf Green, Sapphire, Ruby, or Emerald. Every little kid I used to meet. I remember the first time I remember Pokemon games. I don't even know what this was. I think it was somebody's birthday or something. I remember going to like this party and there being these three boys and they all had a Game Boy and they all had a different Game Boy and they all had Pokemon games. Like one of them had like a Game Boy Advance and he was playing like red version. One of them had a Game Boy Advance SP. He was playing like Leaf Green, and then one of them had literally an old school Game Boy Color, and he was playing blue version. I think one of the kids, I think it was the kid with the blue version that let me play his game at the party or whatever. I don't know whose party it was, but it was like somebody's like fifth or sixth birthday or something. But that is my earliest memory of Pokemon when it comes to the video games, and that was before I even played them myself because I have all of them. I have red, blue, yellow, green. Not green. I have red, blue, yellow, crystal, gold, and silver. And I have Japanese heart red, heart gold. Why the hell did I say heart red? What the hell is heart red? That sound hard though. I ain't gonna lie. Pokemon heart red. Pokemon heart red, bro. Pokemon heart gold. And I have it in Japanese or whatever. And then I have black and black 2. But then I ended up saying screw it and I ended up getting 2 of those little 501 game cartridges where it has like all the games on it. So I have like all of them now on that cartridge because I was like, I just want all of them. But I didn't want to go and buy them because they're extremely expensive. If you go online, like most Pokemon games are like from like 40 to like $300. I'm like, it's not even that serious. Like for real, you really could just get a ROM and just play it online if it's that serious. But when I was a kid, Pokemon was huge. And I remember at my elementary school, this was the second elementary school I went to. I ended up moving to a white neighborhood. They had a literal Pokemon table, my nigga. It was a table. It was known as the Pokemon table. This is where you met all your nerds and all your brothers and sisters of Christ that like Pokemon. And I remember they all used to have their little folders. Everybody either had a folder with Pokemon cards in it, a binder, or they would have the little Zatch Bell book. I don't know where. I guess they all just bought them all at Walmart, but they would have the Zatch Bell book and they would put their Pokemon cards in the little Zatch Bell book. So many people used to do that. I even had my own. I got one from some kid and he gave it to me. I ended up putting all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the Zatch Bell book. I don't even know what that book is. I don't even know what happened to that Zatch Bell book. But every kid used to do that, my nigga. Every kid had a Zatch Bell, small little Zatch Bell book where they put all their cards in it. Nobody ever bought Zatch Bell cards, even though Zatch Bell was hard as hell. That anime was fire when I was a kid. I used to love it, and I used to think that all the little characters were like puppets. And I heard later on that they weren't puppets. I'm like, are you sure they ain't puppets, bro? That's what I thought they was when I was a kid. But that Pokemon table was a vibe for a while. And there was always that one white boy. I remember there was one white boy. He had like this coolest card I've ever seen. It was like a Celebi card. And it was like a limited edition. Because he had got it from something. I can't remember where he got it from. It wasn't a promo, but it was like a limited edition card. And it was like super rare. Because I remember looking it up and it was like $70 or something. I was like, what? Like my nigga. And of course, there was the fake Pokemon card niggas. There's always someone who has a bunch of fake cards. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I don't care if a card is fake. I just love Pokemon cards. So I didn't care if cards were fake. But I had a Mexican homie and he had like a fake Blaziken EX. I ended up trading him something for it just because I thought it looked cool. Because I was one of them people who likes the fake cards. You know, I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. I'll take it. And then sometimes I would trade the fake card that I was given for a real card. I think I like traded some guy that fake Blaziken. I ended up getting like I think it was like a Lapras EX, a real Lapras EX, and like a Zapdos EX. I remember there was like a kid who lived behind my grandma's house. Like literally his house was right behind my grandma's house, like in a little gate or whatever. It's kind of country. And I like traded him those cards and he gave me like really good cards. And I never seen that kid again. It was wild. I think I seen him like walking with Pokemon cards one time. And I went over and like told him like, hey, let's trade or something. It was random, but I remember going to the gate because he was like outside. And I was like, hey, bro, because when you was a little kid, bro, you would walk up to little gates and stuff and talk to other kids. And I remember he ended up trading me some cards or whatever. And I remember he was saying sell. He was like, is there anything else you want to sell? He kept saying that. All he was like hella country, just like randomly country. He was a cool dude though. But I remember giving him like the fake blazing card for like real cards, bro. Like I ain't gonna lie, because other kids didn't care. Like I was like, shoot, I'm like I'll trade you for them. Because when I was young, it was like I would tell niggas that the cards was fake, and they would just be like, I don't care. Like, all right, hey. Or they'd be like, no, it's not fake. I'm bro, I can't. I can't tell you how many people used to have fake cards, bro, like all the time. And you could, I was one of them niggas who could tell when a Pokemon card was fake. I could just tell right away. I'm like, nigga, the card is fake. There was multiple ways you can tell. One way is if the card looks hella faded. Another way is if at the top of the card it looks kind of greenish, like the yellow ends of the card is getting a weird green color. And sometimes you can 100% tell if a card's fake. I remember I wanted the card from this one guy, and he like clowned me for it. He had like this fake Crystal Pikachu card. It was called Crystal Pikachu, and it was blue, and had a blue Pikachu on it. And I thought it just looked cool, and I was just like, I'll trade you for it. And he's just like, he like laughed and like clowned me. He was like, oh, you took a fake card. I was just like, but I like it though. Like I was just one of them kids. I didn't care. I was like, if I like the card, I like the card. But yeah, I remember that Pokemon table, and I remember bringing my cards to that table. Because if you guys have seen my old video, I knew this kid. His name was literally Yu. He was Korean. His name was YU. Yu. He was Korean, and I traded him like 300 Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and he gave me like 300 Pokemon cards because I was way more into Pokemon cards when I was a teenager than Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh cards when I was like 5 or 6 years old. But I ended up trading the kid. He was like 14. I was like 10. And he just could not stand me. He like hated me for whatever reason. I guess because I knocked on his door so much. But I'm like, nigga, I'm 10. The fuck. And you hang out with me sometimes. Like older niggas was always weird because they would like hang out with you one day, be hella cool with you, and then the next day act like you're like getting on their nerves. I used to just be like, okay. But yeah, I remember I traded him all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards for all his Pokemon cards. I even traded him all my Game Boy games for all of his Game Boy Color Pokemon games. That's how set I was on Pokemon. I was just hella into it, bro. You know, I got lucky. You know. But yeah, I remember going to that table and I showed some of the cards he gave me because he gave me like these sticker cards. Apparently, if I remember correctly, you can actually get them out of a machine and they look like Pokemon cards, but they're like little hollow stickers. And I had a Mew like that, and I remember I showed those cards to the kids, and they were like, "Oh, that's fake, whatever, whatever." And then there was like a girl there, and she was like, "Oh, that card is cute." She's like, "I kind of want it," and I was like, "Nah, I like this Mew. I don't care if people clown it. That card is cool as hell. It's in my closet right now. I still got those cards. Fuck you talking about, nigga? I love me some Pokemon cards. What you mean?" But yeah, I still have it, bro. Pokemon cards, I always took extreme care of my Pokemon cards. Yu-Gi-Oh cards, nigga, I lost them hoes. I remember I had. They were in my mom's garage, bro. Like 2 years ago, I swear I knew exactly where they were. I had a deck, and I had a little deck box and everything. I had a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It was a nice little deck. It was pretty decent. If I trained a little bit more, went online and learned how to play again, I probably could whip some niggas with it. That shit gone. I don't know what the hell happened to that deck. I still be trying to figure out what happened. And then when we moved, because we moved here, I ended up finding some of the cards like in this big box thing. I'm like, why are my Yu-Gi-Oh cards all spread out? Did somebody steal that shit? Who stole it though? I still be trying to figure it out. Like, who stole my Yu-Gi-Oh deck? I swear it was in my room, back home, back where I used to live. I do not know where the hell that shit went, bro. I swear it was in my closet at the top shelf, and then that thing just randomly disappeared. Somebody must have stole it, but I don't know because I never seen anybody in my room. Like, I never let anybody come into my room, so I just don't understand like what happened to that stuff. But it is what it is. But yeah, bro, I remember bringing those cards to school. I remember some kids was trying to clown the fake Mew card. And I'm like, oh, so y'all can tell when mine is fake, my nigga, but y'all can't tell when y'all's is fake. Bet. They probably would just call it fake because it was petty, but it was fake. It's like a sticker thing that apparently comes out of Japanese machines. You could like literally go to Japan and they have machines or something like that. Which is pretty interesting because the kid, like I said, the kid was Korean, but he had a lot of Japanese stuff. Maybe he was mixed. Maybe he was Japanese and Korean because he had a whole bunch of like Japanese video games and toys and stuff like that. He never let me go in his house though. I think I went in his house like a one time inside the door, like right by the door, because you know them Asian parents don't play. They don't like nobody coming in their house, bro, because they think you gonna steal something. You know, Mexican parents are like that too. I had a Mexican homie and his parents didn't really like me going to his house either, and they acted really weird when I was like in his room. I remember one time my mom like asked if they could watch me, and they said yes, and I like stayed at their house for like a day, the Mexican homies, and I was in his room, and I was literally just sitting in a chair, and his dad was like, "Don't just leave him in your room by himself," or something. He said, I was just like, "Really, my nigga?" And then somebody told me that. I remember telling somebody that story. They were like, "It's not. I don't think it was a racist reason." I'm like, "My nigga, they only did that shit with me, bro." My white friend, bro, that I had, they used to let that nigga spend the night all the time. Like, nigga, you think they was gonna let me spend the night? Hell no. I was like, why y'all just assume I would steal just because I'm black? Like, why is that always the thing? Like, oh, if you black, you gonna steal? Like, nigga, them white boys should steal more than me. I like no racist stuff, but they, man, I was like a nice black kid, low key. But yeah, bro, I remember that, and I remember the Pokemon cards. I remember in the apartment complex that I lived in, everybody liked Pokemon. You know, that I hung out with. You know, and one of the funnest Pokemon stories I have is one of the best stories is I had a Groudon Star card, which I think is worth like $70 now. But I remember I traded that Groudon Star card for Pokemon Sapphire. That is a beautiful trade. And I remember I played that Pokemon Sapphire to death. And I was so into Pokemon games. I still have some of the games. I have like Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon Gale of Darkness, XD. Those two GameCube Pokemon games are freaking fire. I don't care. Those are like the best Pokemon games, bro. I played them games to death. Those games are so fun. And I used to use the little connector to be able to trade over from my video games. Because I had, for a while, I literally had all the Pokemon games. I had Fire Red, Leaf Green, Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald all at the same time for like a cool while. And then I let that Mexican homie I told y'all about, I let him borrow the Ruby. And I remember I went back to ask him for it, and he was like, "I don't know where the game is. I don't know what happened to it." I'm like, "Really, bro? Really? You gonna sit here and act like I didn't let you borrow it, bro?" Because I literally let I think I let his little brother borrow it, and I asked both of them, and they were like, "Oh, we don't know." I'm just like, all right, for sure, bro, for sure. And then Leaf Green, what I used to do is I used to sell my games to GameStop when I was a little kid to get newer games. So I remember I think I sold like 10 PlayStation games and like all the games I had at my house to get a DS. To get a DS Lite, bro. The newer DS, the one that's like right after the DS, before they had the DSi and all that extra stuff. Cause I swear, every year they made a new DS. I remember I used to sell all my games at GameStop to buy more games or to buy the newest game. Is what I mean, and I did that so many times. And then sometimes I would go and get used games. I went and got Pokemon XD used at GameStop back when they used to actually have GameCube games. I got it for like $20. And I remember I got it, went and played it, and it didn't work. And they had two copies of it. So what I did is I think my grandma went back with me, and I gave them a receipt and got the other one, and that one ended up working, and that's the one I have in my closet right now. But man, Pokemon is just, man, Pokemon will never die. Pokemon is like endless. It's like immortal. Like it's never gonna die because it's appealing to everybody. Everybody loves those cute little creatures. You know how many YouTubers I've watched that have just stuffed animals everywhere, just stuffed Pokemon everywhere, bro. That's how I want my room, bro. I want my room like that. I want Neopets everywhere and Pokemon everywhere, bro. I do not care, bro. That would be freaking awesome, bro. If I ever get big on here, that's gonna be my thing. I'm gonna have those everywhere. I don't care. But yeah, Pokemon, man. I remember there was another story I had where there was this boy, because I remember at my elementary school, I went to a white elementary school for my second half, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. And there was the Pokemon table that was over by the playground by the school, and then if you walked up this little hill, there literally was another playground that was like up here. Well, white people playgrounds is crazy, my nigga, because black playgrounds is not like that. Ours is hood as hell, and you got one playground, and it's silver as hell, and it's hot, and when you touch it, you get blisters. But the white kids have the colored playground, nigga, where it's colorful. And there was one below, and there was one on a hill, and on that hill there was these two benches, and there was these little, the little thing that blocks out the sun or whatnot. And there was a kid, his name, I don't want to say his name, But he had, that was another Pokemon table, but that was like the video game Pokemon table after school. And I remember he had an action replay. He had all the rare Pokemon or whatever. The kid was kind of douchey for some reason. I was like, why is he so rude, bro? I remember I just had to just hi to him a couple times. He was kind of douchey for no reason, but I remember one of my friends was like really cool with him. But we used to look at Pokemon games up there too. Um, yeah, I think he didn't. He let me. I remember there was a kid who let me borrow their Leaf Green version. I don't. Who was that kid? There was some kid who let me borrow his Leaf Green, and I remember I played it, and I got his. He had like a. He only had like two Pokemon. He had like a Fearow and an Eevee. He had like Fearow, Eevee, and I think that was it. And I remember I raised, and he named the rival Jackass. So Gary Blue's name was Jackass. And I remember I raised up the Fearow to be like level 40 in like a day. It was like level 27 or something before, and I raised it up to like 45 or something. And then the Eevee I evolved into Vaporeon, and it was like level 45 when I got it. And then, because he let me borrow it for like a day, and then I gave it back to him the next day, and he played it, and then he came back to me. He was hella mad, and he was like, why did you evolve my Eevee? He was like, I was gonna migrate it to Diamond and Pearl so I could get a Glaceon or something. He said, or a Leafeon or something. And I was just like, I mean, you didn't say that. You said I could borrow the game, and I played it. Like what the hell? And I had fun playing it because that was before I got my version of Leaf Green. Um, but I also remember what's another story I have about Pokemon. I have multiple stories about Pokemon. I remember. Oh, I had one on the tip of my tongue. Oh, I got a good one. So I had Pokemon Emerald, and I don't know how I used to find this stuff out, but basically I was the type of kid where I would beat my Pokemon game and then I would use the action replay or the Game Sharks like later on when I got bored. Like I would reset the game and then trade all my Pokemon in one game and then like reset the game over again and just kind of cheat the whole time out of boredom. Because I'm like, I already beat the game legitly, so I just like cheat. I remember I had the most OP Pokemon because I found it's like this weird glitch. And the glitch basically was you get the Game Shark on Emerald, you go to the Battle Frontier, you go to the Battle Tower, and you use the walk through walls, and you walk through the Battle Tower walls. And whatever Pokemon you have, you walk through the walls and you walk through a little Battle Tower door. When you walk through it, you're going to challenge a trainer. And when you send out your Pokemon will have sketch, 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 sketch for its moves. It's the weirdest glitch. I'm assuming it does that because you can get the Smurgle in the cave or whatever at the bottom of the Battle Frontier, if I remember correctly, and Sudowoodo. I think that's why it does that weird glitch. But basically, when I found that glitch, bro, I started using it all the time. So I remember I had a Deoxys. It was shiny and it was speed form. I remember I put it in the front of the party. I gave it sketch, 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 and then I migrated it over to Pearl version. And I did that for a Pikachu too. And I remember I gave Pikachu Fly and Surf, and then the Deoxys, the shiny speed Deoxys, I gave it Shadow Force, Judgment, Dark Void, and I think it was Extreme Speed. And its speed was like 407, so it always went first. It was the most hacked Pokemon that I ever had. I wish I still had it. I could make a new one technically. I could like get a new Emerald version, get a Game Shark, and do all that again if I wanted to. But it's freaking hilarious because I used to use that because I had this friend who used to EV train all his Pokemon. He made them all strong, and he beat me a couple times, and I was like, nah, bro. I was like, screw this. So I started using that thing like all the time. It was the most hacked, cheap Pokemon, bro. But it was so fun to use. And then if I remember correctly, you can put the plate on the Deoxys and the different plates. Arceus has the different plates. You could put it on Deoxys and the Judgment would change types. So even though Judgment is supposed to only be Arceus's move, but Deoxys had it. So I would put that on the Deoxys, and if I remember correctly, it would change its type with the Deoxys too. Like it would do it with the Deoxys, if I remember that correctly. And I used to use that, and I used to beat my friends all the time with that. I would just use Dark Void and use Judgment over and over again, Extreme Speed. And they had no Pokemon that was fast enough to beat it, so it was just like, it was OP as hell. But I remember I ended up trading that in. I traded my Pearl in. Let me tell you the story about how I got the damn Pearl. I used to get lucky. Niggas used to give me their Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, and video games. So there's this one long-haired white kid that I knew in my elementary school when I was in 5th grade. This nigga, basically, I told him I like Pokemon. The next day, he gave me his Pokemon Pearl version. So I got Pearl for free. I went to my friend. I asked my friend if I could use the DS to see if it works. It worked perfectly fine. And this is when I ended up selling all my games to get the DS. And I remember it was like a white DS and it didn't work. So I traded it in to get another one. And that one ended up being like, I think it was Rock Band or it was like Guitar Hero Special Edition DS. And it was like silver at the top and then the rest was black. And basically what happened after that was I went back to school and I talked to him and he basically laughed and he was like, yeah, he was like, I got the game, I got a bobby pin and I scratched the back of it so it wouldn't work, you know, and he started laughing and I was just like, nigga, you gave me a $40 game for free. Like, why are you making it seem like you got one over on me? Like, kids used to be weird to me when I was young. I used to be confused. I'm like, nigga, that's a win. You gave me a $40 game for free. Like, what the hell? I don't know why he acted like he like clowned me. Like, he tried to clown me off of it and I was just like, okay. I was like, you still gave me something for free. Like, brothers is not gonna give you games for free like that. Like, but white boys will give you games for free and then try to clown you off of them giving you a game for free. Like, ha ha ha, I bet you the game is glitched. I'm like, actually, my nigga, it works perfectly fine and I'm playing it right now on my new DS that I bought. Thank you. But like, for real. So that was one thing that was funny. But this is just a story about Pokemon. I am like an extremely huge fan of Pokemon. So, of course, I have these stories, and I have way more that I can tell you guys about. This is just like the tip of the iceberg, and I already got some videos on Pokemon already. But yeah, matter of fact, you know what? I'll give y'all one more because this one was fun. I remember having my Pokemon cards, and I remember none of us in my apartment complex really knew how to play Pokemon. So we kind of just made up our own version of battling. It was kind of funny. Like, we didn't use energies or nothing. And I remember the funnest thing that I ever did was my mom would let me stay out till like 9 o'clock at night, but I had to be like right by our door if I was staying out that late. Or it would have to be the weekend and it would have to be me spending the night at my friend's house. Because I had this white friend and basically his house was vibes. His house was like everybody can go over there, everybody can spend the night over there. If you spent the night at my house, only one person can spend the night. That's basically how that was. So I remember it was me and him, and I think it was the Mexican dude and a light-skinned, tall, black dude that we used to hang out with, and me and him were playing Pokemon cards by the door, and it was just hella fun. I don't know why I enjoyed that so much, but it was like super fun and enjoyable. I don't know why. It's not really anything deep. We just played Pokemon cards, we sat by the door, played it, and we played it incorrectly, but it was just super fun. It was a vibe. It was 9 o'clock at night, it was dark, and it was just something that I remember to this day for some reason. And for some reason, it was just really a really enjoyable moment. But like I've said before, a lot of the time, sometimes you don't even know the specific reason why something makes you feel so good. It just kind of does. And when you're a kid, you get a high off of just simple stuff, just bonding. You know, just being around your friends and doing something that you both enjoy is just really a vibe. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little story time about Pokemon. You know, Pokemon is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and One Piece, and Hunter x Hunter. You know, those are some of my favorites. And I love Harry Potter too. Harry Potter is amazing, and I just love the story of how J.K. Rowling became famous off of Harry Potter, and how she used to literally write all day and all night. She used to go into like a little sandwich coffee shop, used to write, and even when she was like working, she was still writing Harry Potter. Like, she was like really into it so much, and it's just like that puts a smile on my face, even though she was going through a lot of pain, and I feel bad that she went through all that pain, like, you know, of her mother dying and her man leaving her and stuff like that. That was really sad. But this was just a little story time about Pokemon. I hope you guys like it. Like, comment, subscribe, and tell me your guys' favorite thing about Pokemon if you like Pokemon. Tell me about the cards that you like. Tell me your favorite Pokemon. One of my favorites as a kid was Celebi. I used to freaking love Celebi. It was like my favorite Pokemon. Now it still is my favorite Pokemon, but I also have a soft spot for Jirachi. I really freaking love Jirachi. I will always love Mew. I feel like everybody loves a Mew, bro. Mew is like, he's just a lover boy. We love him. I love Mewtwo too. Mewtwo needs love, bro. Like, for real, I love Mewtwo. What's some of my other favorite Pokemon, bro? I really love Ampharos too. Ampharos is one of my favorites. On my Heart Gold and on my Crystal Gold and Silver, I used to always have an Ampharos, like every time. It's just one of my favorite Pokemon. One of my favorite electric types. But let me know your guys' favorite Pokemon. What's your guys' favorite Dragon type? That'd be a good question. I really like. What's my favorite Dragon type? I like Dragonite. I love just normal Dragonite too. I don't really like the shiny. I don't like how it's like green. I feel like they could have gave it a cooler shiny. Like if they would have made it like red, I feel like that would have been cooler. Or if they would have made it the same blue color that Dratini and Dragonair is. If they would have made it blue like that, that would have went stupid. I ain't gonna lie. But I hope you guys love this video about Pokemon. Hope you guys' night is going good. Peace and blessings. If you need friends, hey, I'm your boy. If you need a listening ear, I'll listen to you. Peace and blessings.